Hey guys, how are we getting on today? So today we're here with Graham McCormack. So Graham is, I suppose, a truly inspirational man. He was an inspiration to me as well when I first kind of connected with him when I seen his story on Facebook, and it really gave me that extra bit of a push to be more open about my own personal journey and my own story and stuff like that. And I know Graham wears a lot of hats as well, so I'll get him to kind of explain exactly what he does. But Graham, thank you so much for, I suppose, giving your time today to actually share with us a bit of your story and some of the challenges that you've been through yourself.
No. Thank you very much. We've just been chatting just before you started recording and everything else, and just enjoying the process. This is it. We have a message to spread, and we're here doing it, and that's it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Thank you for giving me the platform.
No bother. So you want to just share a little bit about what you do at the moment?
Yeah, I will. So at the minute, I am, I suppose, a personal development coach. I'm also a mindfulness coach. I do a lot of workshops in schools, businesses, and just about anywhere really that needs it. I also have a program called Zen Men at the minute, which is an all-male transformation program. It includes 2 MMA sessions a week, 1 group coaching session, daily mindfulness practice and reflective practice, and we also have surprise outings, and it's a surprise and it'll stay a surprise just in case any of them are watching it right now. But yeah, that's where I'm at the minute. Look, to give it a description, it's just I'm in the personal development field, but there's many angles and many hats that I wear, as you just said. So
yeah, awesome. So I suppose if we just kick it off, really kind of, if you wouldn't mind sharing a bit of your story, kind of taking it back into kind of your teenage years, kind of when you were in around school. What was life like for you back then?
Ooh, wild. Yeah, it was just, look, typical enough teenage years, coming into myself, into my emotions, kind of, levels of awareness growing, kind of trying to understand what works, what doesn't. But it wasn't so typical in the way that just before my teenage years, when I was 11, I actually started taking drugs at that point. And there was a group of lads around me. They were a bit older. I wasn't really accepted by anyone my own age, due to basically they were bullying me. And I remember sitting down with the older group, and there was a funny smell in the air, basically.
Yeah.
So that day, based off the emotions I felt from the bullying, I felt like absolute crap that day. I made a decision. It wasn't the best, but there was drugs there. I tried them. And then at 12, I started to drink alcohol. And I mean, that mixture and bullying was a recipe for disaster. And then coming into my teenage years, it was just off the wall, really.
Yeah.
I was in school, and it was an all-boys secondary school.
Yeah.
I came from an all-boys primary school, so the majority of people that were in my primary ended up in my secondary. It wasn't the best. There was a lot of bullying. There was a lot of me reacting to the bullying. So I would get suspended. I would be, the black sheep, let's say. It was just up and down. There was a lot of ins and outs. There was a lot of learnings, but it wasn't just me that was suffering. I think that's the biggest thing. It was my family.
Yeah.
It was them, me reacting even at home, or even when I'm out on the streets with my so-called friends, which were not friends at all, by the way. Me reacting, being high as a kite off drinking drugs, and all my emotions, and coming home and causing lots of trouble, basically. It was rough and tough for them as well.
And did you feel like that was really because you didn't understand how to process the emotions and feelings from bullying and not being accepted and stuff like that you may have had these emotions inside bottled up, and that's what the lashing out was? Would you say that's right, or how would you kind of describe it? Because I know there's a lot of people going through that exact position right now that you were in.
So to describe it in a way, there was no self-awareness. There was just, the only time that I was self-aware is when it was gone too far. When I was at the high intensity of an emotion, and I was after making a choice to react from that. That was the only level of awareness there. But in primary school, even leading up to that point, there's nothing. You're not taught how to process your emotions.
Yeah.
You don't even know what an emotion is at that point. You're just, I have a feeling. It's not even labelled as an emotion. There's nothing. You don't even know how the mind works. There's nothing. You know what I mean? There will be with your program.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's what's needed. But self-awareness, it just wasn't there. I was reacting. People were, reacting back. I just didn't know what was going on for me, really. I do believe that, even what I've learned in my life to this point, that if I had some form of structure or some form of, knowledge around self at an early age, it would have a big impact.
Yeah. No, definitely. If you actually knew how to process it, or if you even had an understanding about what was actually going on.
Yeah.
And did you feel that you were the only one stuck like that?
At that point,
did you feel like you were alone, or?
At that point, I did, yeah.
Yeah.
In the way that, I thought my behaviour was worse than anyone else's. Yeah. I thought my feelings were worse than anyone else's. I thought, in a way, in a non-kind of derogatory way or self-judgmental way, I thought the world revolved around me and how bad I was feeling. But that's not the truth.
Yeah.
And little did I know that someone 2 doors up from me who was in my year as well, was feeling the exact same as me at that point. And I didn't know that till I met him later on in life.
Yeah.
And he explained that I was going through the same thing as you. But the problem was that I didn't speak about it as well.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. So absolutely, I definitely felt that, it was me. Everything that I was feeling was horrendous and it was the worst ever, and no one else out there. Look at the world's population, to have a light-hearted approach. There's absolutely someone else out there who feels the exact same as you. They're just not talking about it. That's the thing. And you don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's what I've come across with working with teenagers, even working with adults as well, that you find that they feel they're the only person. And I think even just hearing that there's other people out there the exact same can actually take a weight off their shoulders.
Yeah, it's that relatability factor, it's like, hang on a minute, you feel the same here, and boom, that loneliness, that feeling is just gone. It's like, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
You feel the same.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Yeah, and then if you don't feel alone, then what happens is you get this kind of, you build a bit of confidence around that. You kind of bit of inner strength, let's say, and you're like, I think maybe I can do this, because I can talk to someone about this.
Yeah. So then, kind of moving forward, I suppose, throughout your school years in secondary school, what was that like for you?
An experience. As I touched on earlier, it was just very up and down. There was a lot of me kind of seeking external validation, trying to seek acceptance outside of myself, and that would manifest in behaviours, trying to be the worst person in class or to be the most reactive, just to get that attention, and hopefully that people outside myself would go, Graham's actually kind of cool, or Graham's a bit, Graham, come over here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I was just reacting. I was being the worst in class, and for what? I just didn't know that I could actually accept myself. But again, I would have known that if there was a structure involved, or in my earlier years of school, and an understanding and knowledge. It just wasn't there, but it was turbulent, to say the least.
Yeah, and it got worse for you before it actually got better?
In the teenage years?
As your life went on and you moved forward?
Yeah, so look, even at 16, when I was in secondary school, I was still all over the place. I came to a point where I had drank alcohol on school property, coming to the end, and I fired a glass bottle that I was drinking across the yard, and it nearly hit the principal. It was pretty reactive, let's say. And I got dragged into the principal's office by a teacher. He came around with a big bull's head and said, "Get out of my school." So I was delighted. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I love this. Yeah. Again, trying to be that worst person, or seeking that acceptance. So I was brought from secondary school, into rehab in a place called Ashland House in Kilkenny, which is an adolescent treatment centre. And from there, it just went downhill again.
Right.
I mean, at that point, I lasted a week and a half in rehab. I was just crying myself to sleep every night through loneliness, I was in a different county. There was 6 other people in my dorm. I just didn't want to know them. I didn't want to get to know them. Just leave me alone. So after a week and a half, I was collected, brought home, and I just kind of got back to what I thought was normal life. And that was manic. It was just, the drinking, drugs got worse. My emotions were getting worse. I was internalising everything. I wasn't opening up about anything at all, which is a recipe for disaster. There was a lot going on. And then at 18, my girlfriend became pregnant,
Yeah.
and that hit me. That hit me hard. I was like, oh, okay. So then, unfortunately, then when my daughter was born, she was around the 3-month mark. I had left everything at the best of me. Again, I decided in that moment not to vocalise anything that was going on. And I broke up with my partner, and unfortunately I tried to end my life at that point. And from there I was brought, luckily I survived, I was there, brought from there to the psychiatric ward where I was in there for 6 weeks. And that was an experience in itself again.
Did you kind of feel at that time that, okay, maybe something needs to change with you? Or were you still kind of in that kind of lost place that you didn't understand still what was happening with you? Or
I didn't understand. I had no clue. I was in this place where I was just in a state of fear the entire time. There was people in there who were very mentally unwell, and it was heartbreaking to see. I was in a state of fear. I just didn't know why I was in here.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I? I don't belong in here. Why am I here? Why can't I just be with my friends? Unfortunately, abusing alcohol and drugs, which I thought was the thing.
And you feel like that was a kind of an escapism for you?
The
drinking and taking drugs and stuff like that?
Yeah, like to put it in a mindful way, it was a non-acceptance of what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
That's escapism. If what you're currently experiencing is deemed not good enough for you, or too much, or intense, or whatever it may be, then the natural thing is you feel an urge to kind of escape it, and that could be using alcohol and drugs. It could be, like running away from home. It could be an urge to run and go and go and go and spread your energy somewhere else. At that time, it was a non-acceptance of what was going on. Ultimately, escaping. And when you escape, the thing is that you can go.
Yeah.
And try and escape your problems. But the problems lie within you and your thinking and your feeling and your mindset and everything else. So there's no actually, I suppose, escaping from them, Temporarily you believe there is, but there's not.
Yeah. So I suppose what kind of happened then to lead you on the path you're on now? Did something else happen, or what kind of inspired you to focus, I suppose, on yourself and go on that journey of self-acceptance?
Jesus, how long do you have? Yeah, there was loads. There really was loads. I mean, I didn't get my act together. I like that term, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Until I was 28, 31 now. I might look at, but yeah. So there was a lot. There was, to put it into bullet points, I suppose, there was 2 further suicide attempts. There was 8 more psychiatric ward stays. There was being homeless for 3 months. There was a short time period where I wasn't allowed to see my daughter for obvious reasons. I destroyed pretty much every relationship I had. I was diagnosed with emotionally unstable personality disorder by a psychiatrist in the psychiatric ward, to which she basically just said, look, there's a therapy specific for you. It's called dialectical behaviour therapy. I had no clue what that was at that point, and I was just open to it. I said, okay, well, this is it. Look, it's kind of like my last hurrah. If this doesn't work, then it is what it is, and I'm gone. And that was, unfortunately, where my mind was gone at that point. I had hit rock bottom numerous times, not once, like rock bottom. And I mean, people say you'll only hit rock bottom once. I'm like, no, I've hit it more than once.
You were down there, you stayed down there for a while. Yeah,
the real rock bottom was my hand, basically. I was at a house party, abusing alcohol and drugs. I had no sleep, no nothing, no food, no nothing. I argued with someone close to me at that point in the house, and I grabbed something sharp and I attacked myself on my hand. And I was brought from where I was in ambulance to the hospital, and at that point I had to have emergency artery reattachment surgery, or I would die, basically. So that was a success. And then about 2 or 3 hours later, a hand specialist came along, and he basically said, look, I am who I am, and I'm a hand specialist, and we'll probably have to amputate your hand.
Jeez.
Yeah, so the thing with, I'm getting tingles now because I can remember it, but the thing with all that was with the self-harm and, clearly my hand was not amputated. He came back a couple of days later and said, look, you're lucky, you're going in for plastic surgery in the morning. But the thing was that I was self-harming a lot. And my sister said to me one day, she said, you're going to go too far with that. And I said, I don't care. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. And then when I did go too far with it, instant regret. Yeah. I did care. I really, really, really did care.
Do you think that was kind of a wake-up call then for you?
That was the rock bottom.
Yeah.
That was in 2015, and that was, things need to change here, big time. Yeah. I mean, over the years, I've always kind of tried to change things and then relapse and then try to change again and then relapse. And I was just, every time I relapsed, either mentally or with alcohol and drugs, I was getting deeper and deeper down into that hole. And I was getting deeper and deeper, and then that incident with the hand happened, and I couldn't go any deeper. Literally, any deeper I was dead. And I was seconds away from that. So that was definitely the scare that I needed. Yeah. Definitely at that point. And that was 2015. And then on the 31st of October 2016, I was weighing 18 stone, 10 pounds, nearly 19 stone from all the medication I was on. Yeah. I was on 16 tablets a day for my mental health alone. I was also diagnosed with Crohn's disease in the middle of all that madness, as I like to call it, or the growth, to reframe it. But yeah, I knew the time had come to make that change. And what I did was, I said, right, I'm going to lock myself in my bedroom, not literally, but metaphorically in a way, and just not leave my bedroom in the morning until I do 20 minutes of exercise. Some days I did, some days I didn't. For me, it's not really about consistency, it's about being persistent. Yeah. And just accepting of, okay, today I didn't do it, and that's fine, tomorrow's a new day, and I'll make changes on that. Again, if to go back to the point of escapism, I could have very easily looked at the days that I didn't do it and been like, you're a bad person, you should have done that, here's a bad feeling, I don't like this, let's move away from this. There's escapism. No, yeah. I'm not feeling this. Very easily could have done that, but I hit rock bottom, and I know what that does. Yeah, that loop, that repetitive loop, constantly over and over and over again. So from there I said, okay, those days are happening, that's fine, I'm accepting, but tomorrow's a new day, let's make a choice to go again. And it was just like that for about 9 months. I lost 5.5 stone. I was down to a healthy enough weight. I was down to around 13-ish. Yeah. And I was happy.
Yeah, you obviously started feeling better within yourself. So
yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, within all that process was, of course, like, eating healthy, like exercise, endorphin, serotonin, moving, practicing mindfulness, meditation, everything that I'd learned on that therapy, that DBT therapy, everything I learned on that was integrated in that 9-month period. Yeah.
So it was about slowly putting everything together and being consistent with it then as well.
Yeah, and you just touched on it there, putting everything together. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's not about like just practicing mindfulness. Yeah. And working on your spirituality or whatever you're focusing on in the mindfulness, and forgetting the movement of the body. Because you'll get certain results from that, just the mindfulness, and that's great. But you're forgetting to move your body as well. Yeah. Mindful movement. Yeah. There's a combination, and there's everything together. So it's about mind, body, soul, and that's what I learned in that 9-month process. Every time I just focused on the body and forgot the mindfulness, it was the same thing. I was like, okay, I'm getting results, but I'm still kind of not 100% here. So yeah.
And was that the start of you really moving forward then?
Yeah, that was a quantum leap of energy from, I hate myself, my life is horrendous, I really don't want to be here anymore, to, oh my God, what's over this side? Yeah.
Started getting excited about things then again.
Yeah, I mean, within the 9-month process there of weight loss and transformation and everything else, like good feelings started to come about. And I started to thrive on them. I was like, I haven't felt that in a long, long time. So every time I would feel a good feeling, I would journal it, I would express it, I would write it out, and I'd have this page of how I feel and why I feel good. And then that would actually compound how I feel. So I would feel better. Yeah.
And I just started to yourself as well.
Yeah. So like the actual process of journaling, of actually writing it out. And like I'd be writing with a smile on my face, and I'm like, Jesus, I never even noticed that. That's how I am when I'm happy. And that was my trigger, my positive trigger, was because she said that to me, and that made me feel good, and I'm happy, and here I'm writing about it. I have this this page of how you feel.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I still have them at home and everything. But when I was in those good states, that's where the kind of creative ideas would come and be like, next week I'm going to try this for the workout, and maybe next week I might throw a post up on Facebook, or because when you're in a good state, it's a natural connection to the universe, whatever your beliefs are. But that's what I believe, and in comes the flood of creative ideas. I mean, have you felt that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like when you're in a good,
100%,
yeah. So when you're in a good feeling, it's a natural creative process in itself, you know.
Yeah. And is that where it led on to going into MMA afterwards?
So, geez, the time frame is completely off here now. But back in 2010, so the time frame we're at now is around 2016, 2017, where I've lost all the weight and I'm feeling great and everything else. But in 2010, years previous, that's when I joined MMA, because I had heard at that point, I was already after one suicide attempt and one psychiatric ward stay. I was on countless medication even at that point. But I knew I needed to make a change somewhere along the line. I just didn't know how. I think I watched a documentary or something about moving and endorphins and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'll have an old bash off that. So I went into the gym, the martial arts gym, and I was just training the fitness side. So the fitness side was here, and then at the back of the gym was kind of boxing, MMA, that kind of stuff. So I went into the fitness class and I enjoyed it. I really did. I could definitely feel the impact of endorphins being released right away, and then even afterwards and everything. My mood was elevated that evening. It was just like, oh, it really does work. There's nothing you can do about it. Endorphins are released. So I stuck with that for about 2 weeks, and I went up one night and the coach just wasn't there, the fitness coach, and I was like, okay, I'm here. I have an hour to kill. What'll I do? So I went over the other side and there was boxing on, and I'd never done boxing before in my life. I just said, just try it, why not? Yeah. So mix it up. So I went over and I trained in boxing for about 45 minutes. And then the last 15 minutes of that class were sparring. So that's kind of, that light moving, no intentions to hurt anyone, just moving. And for those 15 minutes, I got the crap beat out of me, basically. Yeah. So I went, oh, okay. I can either, come away from the class and kind of, but I guarantee the self-talk will come in and, you got beat up there, you should kind of go back there and, kind of stick with that. So I said, instead of doing that, I would just stick with it and stick with the boxing instead of the fitness. And I did. I stuck with the boxing for around 2 or 3 months. And then I started to cross-train in general in other martial arts. There was MMA, boxing, Thai boxing, wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was a load of martial arts over that side of the gym. So I trained in them consistently then for about 2 more months. And then the coach came to me, the owner of the gym basically, and the martial arts coach came to me and said, look, do you want to fight in MMA? And I went, of course I will. I'm a big tough guy. Underneath I was like, oh no, what did I get myself in for? But look, it was stretching myself out of my comfort zone, and I knew that. Like, I was in my comfort zone for too long, and I was just, it just didn't feel right. I knew that there was a knowing inside me that I could achieve more, and I just hadn't taken any action on that leading up to that point. And then when I chose to go from the fitness to the boxing, that was me stretching out of my comfort zone. And then from the boxing to the other martial arts was me stretching even further. And then for me to take a fight was lunacy, but it happened. And I'm very, very glad that it did, because on the 27th of November 2010, I had my first fight in Neptune Stadium in Cork City. Yeah, that was an experience.
I can imagine, yeah.
Let me tell you, yeah. I remember walking in first and there was easily 1,200 people, of majority male, drunk, testosterone fueled, let's go. Yeah. And there's me going, oh no, why? And look, you can't back out, you can't just pull out of a fight. I mean, your opponent, with respect to them, has trained hard for 6 weeks leading up to that point as well. You can't just go, oh well, I can't fight, or I don't want to. It's not like that. So I fought, and then I lost the decision that night, but again, out of my comfort zone, new experiences, new feelings, proud of myself that I stood in there, and it went very, very well. Even though it was a loss, or whatever you may want to term it, I didn't lose that night, I won.
Oh yeah, well definitely I suppose when you kind of look back at all the steps that you took to get to where you were that day, especially from where you were before,
Yeah.
that you weren't doing anything for yourself, you had no self-connection whatsoever. And then,
Zero.
so yeah, it must have been an absolute amazing feeling altogether.
It was. Like that night as well, there was two other people who fought.
Yeah.
The show itself is called Cage Warriors. If anyone out there knows MMA, it's a pretty big show.
Yeah.
Pretty big in Europe. And two other people fought that night. One was called Joseph Duffy. He fights in UFC now. And his opponent was called Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So Conor actually fought up in Neptune Stadium in 2010 on the same show as me. And Conor actually lost that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just in case anyone out there thinks Conor McGregor's a superhuman. No, he's just human.
Yeah.
He's lost an MMA fight before. I think he's lost 3 now at this point, but he got basically choked out in a minute and a half by Joseph Duffy.
Yeah.
So, like, Conor clearly isn't who he is now.
Yeah,
Back then he was just known as Conor McGregor. He was still big enough name. He was kind of knocking everyone out and stuff, and watch out for Conor McGregor kind of stuff like.
Yeah.
But he was put in his place by Joseph Duffy, and his coach, John Kavanagh, has this term. He said, you either win or learn.
Yeah.
You don't win or lose. Because, with the word lose, you have this negative association with it, and then you may feel not good enough. Oh, I lost, I'm a loser, I'm not good enough. But if you reframe it, lose, to the word learn, that sits a bit better, and it feels a bit better. And that's, like, Conor didn't lose that night, he learned, and that's why he is where he is now.
Yeah.
So
it's more about making sure, or giving yourself that fixed, or that growth mindset then as well.
Absolutely.
Looking at it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Fixed mindset, of course, is, I lost, 100%. I'm a loser. And then the growth mindset change, reframe it.
Yeah. So what has kind of set you on the path to what you're doing right now? You obviously went through this huge transformation of self-acceptance, self-discovery, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, and you're now working with a lot of people, helping other people transform themselves. What made you say, do you know what, I want to give back, I want to help other people, I want to help other people on this journey?
So there came a point in 2017. So it was actually Christmas 2016. And a friend of mine had actually ended his life a year previous to that. So it was coming up to his 1-year anniversary on the January. So I remember it was Christmas time, I was feeling those feelings of kind of remembrance and kind of, come up to his anniversary, and I knew that I had a life story. I knew it was a tough time for the majority of people. We're all human, we all have experiences. I said, what if I threw my story up online and just see what happens with that? That wasn't easy, let me tell you. So
imagine.
Yeah, so I was humming and hawing. I was like, oh no, and people are going to judge you, and they're going to know something that you've never spoken about, and all the fear came up. And there's a book, I'm not sure the author, I think it's Susan Jeffries actually, but she has this book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Oh yeah.
You don't even have to read the book, just enact the title, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. But I felt the fear, and I still acted on that. I still acted out with my intentions and what I actually wanted to do and put up the story. And when I put it up, I panicked. I turned my phone off. I ran into Cork City, had about 12 green teas. I came back and I was again humming and hawing about turning on my phone, let alone going on my phone and then going on social media.
With this fear of what people might be saying or how they might be judging you, or...
Yeah, total fear. And eventually did it. I turned on my phone, went on social media, opened it up, and within that hour there was 46,000 people that shared it, and there was about 350 comments.
Jeez. And
that's when the fear really came in. I was like, oh no, it's gone big time, it's gone viral or live or whatever you want to call it. But that's where the fear really kicked in with the judgment. I felt people are going to judge me here now, because let's say I wasn't taught how to process my emotions, there was an underlying mental health condition within all of that, and I used alcohol and drugs to suppress that and escape all the time. What a junkie. I thought someone might call me a junkie.
Yeah.
Or the fact that I wasn't allowed to see my daughter very briefly because of where my mental health was at. What a terrible father. Thought someone might say that.
Yeah.
But with all aspects of my story, there was plenty of ammo for someone who has a judgmental mindset to throw judgmental statements at me, but there was none. Within those 350 comments, I went through every single one and I reacted, and I genuinely thanked them from my heart and everything. But all those comments were just like, well done, or how did you get through that, or you're amazing, this, that and the other. Yeah. And some people are actually writing up, that's my son you're speaking about, he's currently going through that. I was just blown away by all of that.
How did that make you feel? Or how did it make you feel once you actually read through that and then thinking back, geez, I was actually afraid to even look at the comments or turn on my phone?
Yeah, like that's the thing, like to feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah. Like, because like everything you've ever, another quote or whatever you want to call it is, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
And I wanted to help those people. I wanted to help as many people as I could. And if I sat there in my comfort zone and still made a choice and chose not to do anything and went, I feel comfortable here, I'm not doing it, I probably would have not helped 46,000 people or people that were leaving comments and everything else. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. And to think that may not have happened, I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. And that's why I always push that. I feel the fear and do it anyway. Everything you ever wanted is on the other side of that action, taking that action, and getting out of your comfort zone. So yeah, it was huge.
And like as well, like even that feeling of fear, like when that feeling of fear comes up, you're going the right direction because you are pushing yourself outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So when you do feel that feeling, it's about saying, no, I have to do it, or I have to take that step and move forward.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, all that's going to happen is, one, you're probably going to make up in your own mind the perception of what you believe may happen, which may never happen.
Yeah.
Rather than actually stepping forward and actually realizing, this could have a huge positive impact.
Yeah.
No, I think that's incredible. Like even like that's how I first connected with you when I read that story, and it pushed me to be able to be more open and share my own personal story.
Yeah. Because
I had that fear as well of the whole judgment. What would people say if I was actually more open? And even just reading yours, I was like, fuck, there's other people doing it,
Yeah.
And you can see again all the comments and everything, the impact and all that kind of stuff. So you even had a huge influence on me in doing that. So that's incredible as well.
There you go. Yeah. It just happens. It has this, as you know, like it has this ripple effect, and it all kind of comes back down. Like, I mean, the bridge between me and you is labelled the relatability factor, because you've seen aspects of my story that resonated with you, and you're like, okay, what will I do from this? Let's act on that. Yeah. It's just relatability factor as well. It plays a huge role in all of that.
And you talk about the ripple effect. So the fact that now I'm more open and sharing story, like even creating this program, because I built it around my own personal story. But if I wasn't open enough to be able to actually share the struggles, the challenges I've been through, then I wouldn't actually be making this or even doing these videos and stuff like that today.
Yeah, you'd just be this person who's teaching this.
Yeah.
But there's a huge story lying within that person that people need to know. And when people do have a greater understanding, then that's where the transformation happens. This person is similar to me, relatability factor. I'll take his knowledge on board, I'll apply it, and change is made.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose just kind of starting to wrap it up. So what would advice or what kind of tips or tools would you have for anybody that's kind of feeling stuck right now?
Feeling stuck?
In a place, like they might be in this place of feeling down, they're not happy with who they are right now, and they just have no direction, they don't know what to do. What would you say to someone like that?
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So one is it's about first practicing mindfulness or some level of awareness to kind of go, okay, where am I at in life right now? Okay, ask yourself a question then. Am I happy with this? No, I'm not. Okay, then that's fine. Accept it. What's going on isn't your desire. That's okay. It's what you're currently experiencing. Okay, so now that you know what's going on, you can kind of look, and we're not looking backwards, are we? No, we're not. We're not going that way. We're going to look forwards, because that's where we're always moving. And if you look forwards and there's nothing there, then it's down to you to create that and what you place there, because you create your life and that's it. So I would advise maybe looking into something they're passionate about, something that grabs their interest. I would advise to start small. I would advise to seek help from others. You don't have to go it alone. And that's pretty much it, just for getting going anyway in the first place. Now, that's all great to say all of that,
Yeah.
but putting into practice is different. And that's where that fear may come in, or the self-doubt, or the self-criticism. I don't feel good enough, or I'm not deserving of this because I've done X, Y, and Z in the past. I would say, come out of your head and into your heart. You are more than deserving of what life has to unfold for you. The fact that you were born on this planet is a miracle. I don't care what your beliefs are, God, universe, whatever, it's an absolute miracle. So you are absolutely more than deserving of what you can create in your life and what comes your way. So that's where, come out of your head, into your heart, and just start believing in it. Start believing that it's going to happen. And when you start believing, you get into this good feeling and this good state we touched on earlier. And that's where more creative ideas start coming in, these little downloads from wherever they're coming from. And that's where you start feeling better. And I guarantee if you can look to the future with optimism, not too optimistic now, let's be a bit realistic as well. I think that was my downfall as well, was being overly optimistic. I'm going to achieve this.
Yeah.
And then it's 2 months later and you haven't got anywhere near it and you're getting frustrated and disappointed and questioning everything. So mindset would be, come out of your head and into your heart, and if you are in your mind at all, be optimistic and realistic and just keep moving forward. That's all.
That's the key, really, is
Keep moving.
learning to accept where you're at right now and knowing that the past is in the past. That doesn't have to be you moving forward.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it's just about taking those steps and finding what you're passionate about and moving forward.
And you just touched on it there as well. I absolutely believe that the foundation for any moving forward is first an acceptance of where you are. Because if you don't accept where you're at currently, how can you move forward and be accepting of more experiences if you're not expressing acceptance already?
Yeah.
You're almost going back. You're not literally going backwards, but you might as well be, because you're not going anywhere forward without acceptance. Acceptance is the foundation.
True. Well, Graham, thank you so much, man.
You're a gent.
Absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
Cheers.